What's up, Dad Bod Nation? Dad Bod Steve. We've got another incredible story for you guys today. Amazing. I only got a little synopsis of it, and it is going to be killer. So you're going to want to pay attention to this. I have someone who's gone through gangs, who's gone through prison, drug use, and he's redeemed himself, and now he's out telling his story. Everyone give a welcome to Will Bell. Will, thanks so much for
Thanks,
coming, man.
guys. Thanks for having me, man.
Go
Appreciate it.
ahead and introduce yourself.
Yeah, my name's Will. 38 years old, in recovery. It's going to be a lifelong process. I'm excited about it. Had an opportunity to push restart on my life and try to make a difference in the world. And so I appreciate the opportunity of Whitney having me come out here and you allowing me in your home and to be able to share my story. And I'm just on the same mission as you, man, trying to reach as many people as I can or whatever with my story, whether it's one or a million, because that's how I'm finding my way right now. So I appreciate it.
That was awesome. Thank you so much for coming. And Whitney, who introduced us, is here, and she promised me she would come and do her story soon. She's got to wait for a few things.
Yeah,
So
let's
there's
go,
another
Whitney.
one coming, which is great. And she's taking care of my dog, so he should be occupied for this whole podcast.
Decent.
But you told me your story. Let's start from the beginning, man. It is a great story. Like it is incredible, all the stuff you go to. Like tell us where you're from, how life was growing up, and what kind of led you into the whole process of where you started going.
Okay. Born in a small town, Pembroke, North Carolina. Come from a broken home. My father was a military guy. Moved to Fort Lauderdale not long after to have my grandmother take care of me. My dad was having issues and stuff like that. Went to Florida to live with her and her new husband. Her ex-husband went to prison for drugs and stuff like that. Something to do with my dad. So I come from a background of that history, so it kind of just runs through us. My grandma, though, just to give background on that, she's never drank, never took a sip of alcohol, never, nothing like that, never had a speeding ticket or anything. And hopefully she's watching. I love you, Grandma, if you're watching. She's the angel in my life. So, um, yeah. So when my grandpa got indicted and did 15 years, the first thing they did with her was the feds came to her, where she worked at, seized everything, held her up pictures. She was realizing that the pictures that they were holding up was the guys that she kept seeing on the news. And so she just told him, she's like, yeah, Buddy is James Clayton, Buddy Bell. He goes by Buddy, but is my grandpa. And they're like, yeah, Buddy's been hanging out with these guys. And so that gave him probable cause, and he ended up getting locked up. And the next day, she went to see him, gave him divorce papers, and never turned back. So she's like about her business when it comes to that. And God bless her heart for me and my dad putting her through some things. But she took me in. I lived there for a few years. She did the best she can. I ended up seeing the guy that she was with. We come home from getting groceries one day and we walk in and she just started screaming. And me being a little kid, curious, I kind of would just walk in there and look. And he had a smoking problem and had cancer and stuff like that. And so he ended up having a stroke or something. I was so young. And I remember going across the street. She's like, run over there and call 911. And I remember just looking out the window and seeing all the cops and all the chaos and stuff like that. And so that probably had some impact in my life. And but she bounced back. She always been a soldier, and so she just made things happen. Not long after living in Florida, I was probably 5 or 6, and forgive me for the gaps in my story. I went out to Las Vegas. My dad got a contract building a stratosphere.
Okay.
And while we were there, he had 2 kids. Travis and Kevin are my 2 half brothers. At the time, I didn't know that they were my half brothers, and I didn't know that this lady was my stepmother. I was young and everything going on or whatnot. I just kind of set it aside and just like rolled with it. I think I just kind of just like went right with whatever was going on. And had a big house. Mom was working. This was back when Bush was in office, and there was a lot of like protesting. My dad was a big pro, like gun rights, things like that, and hunting. And I remember he used to have all his buddies come over in their trucks and they'd rally, and then the police would show up and he'd tell me to go inside, and I look outside and sorry, Dad, if you're watching, I'm just going to tell it how it is. We kind of have indifferences. It's okay though. I'd be looking out the window, seeing all this going on, and it was kind of exciting to me at the time because my dad, macho, be a man. They got guns. He's fighting, standing up for the Constitution. Little stuff I really didn't comprehend at the time.
Yeah.
And but they would go away. It's like, and I'm thinking, I watch this stuff on Cops, and usually it doesn't turn out good, right? And he'd take me downtown sometimes. We'd be protesting, picketing, holding signs and stuff like that. He ended up hurting his back. did construction in Summerlin's, and always in and out of bars, things like that, camping. He'd always have girls around. He introduced me to that kind of lifestyle. He does what he wants when he wants, and ain't nobody gonna tell him what to do. Um, from what I know, I'm half Puerto Rican, half Native American. My dad's Native American, and we come from the Lumbee tribe in North Carolina.
Okay.
And so he was like big on he doesn't have to have a fishing license. He can carry a gun without having a permit, things like that. And then he won a fishing ticket. And he took it to trial. It was all over the news, right? And he's like, "There's no way they're going to tell me I have to have a license to fish and do this or whatever." And I'm watching all this go unfold, and my mom at the time thinking he's crazy. Even like, why don't you just pay your $25 fishing ticket and move on? But he won it. He won it, and that's why I think I get sometimes what I work on is my big head. I let things get to me or
Mhm.
whatever, and it's my identity issues. And I kind of just like wanted to be like my dad, you know, but at the same time, it was like two sided because be a man, do what you want. Ain't nobody gonna tell me what to do. But when I get home, he's telling me what to do and stuff like that. When I'm trying to find my own niche as a man without a mom around. And mind you, they split up not long after that. My two brothers went back out to Florida, and it was just me and my dad. I was under the impression I was just going to help take care of him. He kind of needed me there, and I just rolled with it. And I thought I was going to be going out to Florida, back out there, and that kind of never happened. And then uh, I remember he would tell me we had an uncle or whatever that drove for CR England, and we would sit on the freeway for some reason, like I don't know, a couple times out of the month, and he'd be like, "Yeah, they're gonna pick you up today or whatever." And I don't know if it was manipulation, I don't know what it was, whatever. I never asked questions because I'd get in trouble if I asked
Yeah.
questions, and but I'd be so bummed out because I wanted to go see my brothers and my mom and stuff like that, and that day never came. So then we moved to Henderson, lived in this guy's, rented a room from him. He was a taxi cab driver. You know, my dad was obviously struggling from breaking his back and stuff like that. I get it, you know. But at the same time, I was still exposed to, you know, no really structure, kind of just doing what we wanted to do, things like that, in and out of schools. And frequently the casinos. He was always at the strip club. Sometimes I'd wake up and he'd be gone. And and I didn't know what it was like to be a dad or what they were supposed to do. I just kind of figured like that's just how life was.
Yeah.
And but I knew my friends had something different. You mean? So I kind of started feeling different, and all these things piled up. I would slowly just kind of just think to myself, I'm a hole poker. So if I don't understand something, I try to figure ways to figure it out, whether it's through questions or manipulating situations to try to get in on something to figure it out. And so father was abusive, you know, and sometimes I had it coming, sometimes I didn't, you know, sometimes with the right place, sometimes with the wrong places. Um, and so I did that with my father for a few years and started acting out, getting in trouble at school, getting suspended, bringing knives to school, fighting and stuff like that. My dad's like, "You don't have to throw the first punch, but as soon as they touch you, man, you do whatever it takes to you make sure he is done." And I got my butt whooped one day. And I got home, I got suspended, I got my butt whooped, suspended from school, sent home, and my ass whooped. And I was so confused on that, you know, because I didn't stick up for myself. And I remember outside playing one day, and these gangbangers, whatever, drove by and they threw a Bart Simpson at my head. And this is the first time I saw my dad like really stick up for me, for his kid or whatever. I ran inside screaming to knock me off my bike, and we drove around the neighborhood for a good hour. And then finally, I was like, "There they are!" And they were coming back down the street, and we chased them. They were probably going 60, 70 miles in reverse in this neighborhood. And I was so scared, but I was so excited. Like, but then it's like we were almost close to getting them, and then I was like, "Oh my gosh, what's my dad gonna do? You know, I don't want to see my dad get hurt." And we never. He ended up just chasing them off, and but I would have these glimpses of connection with my dad, but there were so many gaps of disconnection and not knowing how to channel that as a kid. And so started getting in trouble. This is when MTV, VH1 music videos were up or whatever, and still having an identity problem, not knowing what's going on in my life. Everything's kind of like just bleakish. I would see those things and I would see like, you know, they got money, they got cars, you know, they got attention. They're getting all the things that I was not neglected, but I just, you know, the cards weren't dealt in my favor as a kid. And you
It
know,
was
so I just,
basically social media back then,
yeah,
right? It's basically what
exactly.
social
Yeah.
media is now.
Yeah.
All these guys in planes
Yep.
and with the dollar bills, and then you realize, oh, that's not even real money.
Yeah.
That's not even their plane. They just
Yep.
jumped on, filmed the video, jumped off, and
That's like my lifestyle. That's
and that's
exactly
what
what
it
it
was
is.
for us. Yeah,
Yeah.
MTV, VH1. Dude, I'm older than you, so I
Yeah.
totally know
Yeah.
that. But yeah, I mean, it messes with your brain too,
It does.
right? So how did that going on? How did that like move you forward? Like you're going into your teenage years, like, hey, I want this stuff.
Mhm. Yeah, it was just not knowing it was a facade, but I would chase those things and
Yep.
they had no meaning to me, like at all. It felt like they did in the moment, but whenever I had to go back home to my dad or wherever I was living, because I was bouncing around houses, I was still empty. But when I was out in the streets, it was like a band-aid to me. And so if that's all I had to hold on to, that's just what I was just trying to grasp for anything. I'm sure
Yeah.
that's how most kids are. And uh I was just hungry for guidance, hungry for acceptance, hungry for love. You know, I think I just got love in the wrong way. And so I just started acting out, you know, doing what I wanted to and doing drastic things to fulfill those needs and forgetting about society or my friends or just being a decent person. I was the local crackhead kid that the parents didn't want to come around. I was at Will with you. He can't come over here. Tell him to go stand on the corner. That's how it always was.
Wow.
And uh, but I was getting in trouble. I was the kid that, it excited me as I started stealing and robbing cars and stuff like that, car hopping at football games. Um, that that's the only way I found acceptance because I was the guy that would do it. You know, I was the crash dummy. I was the torpedo.
And you got
And
attention for it, right?
exactly.
And
Yep.
was it that negative attention that really had you going like, hey, I'm getting attention, so I might as well
Yep.
keep doing it.
Yeah. Yeah. And in the moment, it felt like it was worth it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that led me down to uh, I started dating women, which was a bad something to compile to it, and had a kid at a really young age. Still don't know if it's like my biological kid. You know, I always have like trust issues and stuff like that. But she would come down to Nevada. We met up or whatever in bowling alley. Uh, had a kid. I ended up moving to St. George, staying with them for a while, getting in trouble. Mind you, I'm on probation in St. George because I'm already in the juvenile system and stuff like that. The first time I got in trouble with a cop, though, we were making little pipe bombs out of CO2 paintball guns and stuff like
Oh, I
that. We'd
remember doing
emptied
that.
it and
Yep.
fill it with flash powder. And so I got called down to the bishop's office, and there was a cop sitting in there. And so I got a little hand slap. And but the lifestyle as a kid, every kid out there is going through it. If they're not going through it, they may be thinking about it, or some may have different paths. But it starts with the little things and the drinking and the partying, the skipping school and the sitting on your phone and doing certain things and feeling neglected and not really wanting to pay attention to do anything. But those were like
Yeah.
the worst moments that I chose to do something different when I wish I would have done something then, because my life would be so different today if I would have just knew what I knew now, right? And but as a kid, when somebody was telling me that when I was in resource class, man, they don't know what they're talking about. I
Nobody
wish
wants to hear it.
for real. And
Students at my school don't want to hear it either.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
I know. Well, I was one of your students, and here I am again saying you're
Yeah.
right. So that happened for years, man. I was being tossed around. My grandmother finally flew out from Florida. My dad wasn't able to handle me. The corrections wasn't able to handle me. I go into juvenile hall, and it was worse than it was on the street. And you ain't got no protection. I don't got my family. Not that I was really around them anyways, because I was always in the streets, so I didn't have any of my buddies around. And that's when you kind of feel real. That's as a kid, I knew that this is getting serious. You know, it's like, am I all in, or do I really want something different? And I just went balls to the wall, man. And if there was something that crossed my path, it turned to ash for sure, and I made sure of it. Just because I was afraid, whether it be connection or whether it was drugs or whether it was a resource guy trying to talk to me or whatever, I would play the fiddle and just move on and burn the bridge or whatever and try to get whatever I can. I just became a leech. And at 18, I caught my first. I went in and out of youth corrections, did a term in Genesis, did 18 months. That was my first time my grandmother came see me, and it broke her heart to see her son like in shackles. And then I got a home visit and stuff. And at 18, she said, "You can come home." And went home. And 6 months later, man, I was riding in a car. It was stolen. Got pulled over. Almost got away because I told them I just got in the car. Tried lying to the cops, and they found a meth pipe in there. got booked into the Purgatory Correctional Facility, and got sent to prison for the first time, 2006. And that in and out of prison 6 times, man. And the prison is like, in today's world, it's not what it's supposed to be. I learned so much more that I shouldn't have learned.
Yep.
That I did all this time and it's just wasted because I could be doing something so much better with myself. And I just chose to immerse myself, whether it be gang members, getting high, getting connections, whatever it was, getting covered in tattoos just because I had an identity problem. I didn't know who I was, whether I was getting picked on or whatever it was. I chose to get tattoos because, hey, these guys are getting tattoos, no different than watching MTV and going to seek all that stuff out of my window. In prison, these guys got tattoos. Nobody messed with them. Got the tattoos. People still mess with me, right? It's like my life story. And got out of prison, stayed up here in Utah County. Met my kid's mom. Her name's Kimber. Hopefully you're watching. I love you. Uh, we have a beautiful daughter named America, and that's my daughter who was taken. When I was in prison, my second time, my kid's mom ended up getting in some trouble. DCFS got involved. I wasn't there. Our lifestyles weren't at a point in life where we could maintain and be responsible to have kids around. And even though it was hard and we didn't want to see it probably at the time, our conversations today are a little bit more different, a little bit more mature. Um, we have different views on how we cope with things, and I couldn't be more blessed. And I know she feels the same too. That we had her aunt and uncle weren't able to have kids, and so it was a perfect opportunity for them. America was so small at the time. The other two kids, Christian and Hinckley, were a little older, and it was detrimental for them to be split up. So my family couldn't take my America. They wanted to keep the kids together. In the moment, I'm like, how dare you? You guys send me a letter and you tell me to get my family on board and you're going to let me take my kid. But
Yeah.
then you tell me that you want to keep all three of the kids together. And I was just selfish. That was like what I wanted. And but I was still emotionally immature at the time. And it took me a while to finally hear it over and over and over. And until later on, and we'll get to that, however, that like, everything has been so needy. I'm just so needy and just it's all about me, right? And anything that if you didn't have anything for me, I didn't want nothing to do with you. The system, the judge, my daughter's aunt and uncle, or whatever it was, everybody was the enemy. And but now I know it's different, and I got a soft place, and she has a life that I would have never been able to give her for sure. She's a volleyball player. She's getting ready to do wrestling. She's been in the Mississippi. She lives in Iowa, travels out here, and just a really beautiful lady getting ready to turn 15 years old. So I had a privilege of being able to see her, which I'm thankful for that. But still wasn't ready. Thought having another kid changed my life or whatever, No, I wasn't. So I ended up getting out of prison, coming back, and never checking in. That's every single time I got put on probation. If someone told me something to do, I was not going to do it. Because why? I just go right back in. It was so easy. I just do my time and get right back out. It's like the life, you mean?
Cycle,
And
right? It's
yeah,
just that cycle.
yep, the same
A lot of
cycle.
people go through that cycle, and it's really cool. I want to go back to your aunt and uncle taking your daughter. That's awesome that they
Mhm.
kept her in the family,
Yeah,
right?
it
Because
is.
that gives you an opportunity to have that relationship
Yeah,
with her as much as you can when you can,
yeah,
and so that's really good on
yeah,
them to do that because a lot of times because we have a DCFS home at our school,
mhm,
sometimes kids go home, sometimes they don't,
yeah,
and sometimes they don't have contact with their family anymore. So you've been able to have that. That's a good blessing for
yeah.
you.
It is. It is. I see it. I see it stronger today than I ever have. And uh, I think that's just the mature. I was so emotionally immature even as an adult. I still am
Yeah,
today. Still something I work on. Uh, that and my heart's just been softened because of all the drama I've created in my life that and people not allowing them not enabling me anymore and putting me in a corner to do something for myself,
yeah,
right? They open the doors, but I don't want to go through the door. I want whatever they got to show up right there, at the threshold, because I'm not 2 feet in. I'm like either this way or this way, or if not, then I'm just going to take it and still do this. And uh, got out of prison, met my daughter a few times, whatever, and then that case happened. Uh, get drugs was my thing at the time. Started with marijuana, drinking, huffing, doing meth, and then heroin came around the age of 24, 25. uh started doing, I've never had a house. I've never had a car. I remember as a kid sitting in like a little old beat up car thinking, I can't wait to turn 16 to get my driver's license or whatever. And my buddy was like, yeah, we're going to do this to this car and all this stuff. And that excitement as a kid, wishful thinking. And then 16 came, and what was I doing? I was a local kid in the parking lot, skipping class, getting high. You mean not
Yeah.
wanting to do driver's ed, and never had never license, no house, no car, no. I've never done nothing before, no job, nothing like that, in my whole entire life until just recently, and my kid's mom, I just lived off the women that I was around, and I was really needy, and so whenever I would get into relationships, uh, my baby's mom, she gonna laugh when she sees this. She said it word for word over the jail phone. You're perpetrating fraud. And I was like,
Wow.
what?
She
Me?
called you out in prison.
Yeah, I do not know. What are you talking
Man.
about? I was as real as it gets. That's what my attitude was. Like I was full of myself and really full of myself. I convinced myself. I became a really good liar. And that it became my reality. And because it was my reality, it hurt.
Yeah.
Right. And like, how can you say this to me? And we have a kid together. We were going inside people's houses, and we were going through in storage units. We were robbing and doing all this crazy stuff. She probably won't want me to say all the stuff that we was doing, but she, like, the most bizarre couple of years of our life. It was pretty crazy, and I'm like, you don't love me? Well, it took me a long time to realize that what she said is true, and it's a hard pill to swallow. But I had to practice swallowing that over and over and over, just
Mhm.
like any medication or any supplement that you take. Or whatever, you got to give it time to set in, and it's consistency in taking it, and following the doing it the right way in the instructions. And I would just like, oh yeah, okay, I'm a perpetrating fraud. That's cool, I got you, and I would just act out and be passive. I never really like followed up with anything, but now it sinks in. It's starting to. I can really feel it. And today I can sit there and say, yeah, well, I was like that to every single body I come across, especially to myself. Because at night when I laid my head down on the pillow, I knew exactly who I was. But I got to wake up every day and put all that stress and all that anxiety and all these different jackets on whenever I walk into a room. It was smoke and mirrors, right? And that's exhausting, man. It's exhausting, and for 20-25 years that's just what I did, and I still practice that today. Sometimes I still get weak and want to be that guy or whatever, right?
Yep.
But my heart, I had to find my spirituality to be able to soften my heart just to be decent, because I know I see, once I started doing that, I started seeing myself and other people, and I'm like, that's ugly. And that I said, I don't want to be like that. And so I remember those certain things and I hold them close, and when I start feeling some type of way, I'm like, you know what, they're just like me. They're just no different. I may be further removed or whatever distance removed we are from each other, whatever, but we're on the same path. I'm right there. And so that finds me, helps me with compassion to be able to remember who I always was, because that ugly, I think, will always be inside me. Um, and so I've been in that prison six times. Uh, in 2017, I was walking into the Utah County Jail, and uh, a guy was leaving. And I'm like, where are you going, man? He's like, oh, the other side academy just got me out of my prison sentence. I'm gone. And I'm all, give me their address now. Right. And so anything to get out of jail and
Yeah.
not go back to prison for the seventh time. And uh, I got the address. I wrote him a letter, and I'm pretty manipulative or whatever at the time, and so they come do my interview, and they're real rough and raw. Shout out to the Other Side Academy. They came from a Delancey Street Models, a therapeutic community, 2.5 years long, real long, not a 30, 60, 90-day program. Doesn't take no government fundings. Their biggest thing is become a self-reliant. We shouldn't have to ask my grandma, which I did in the interview. I'm all, so at the end, I said, so like clothing, can I have my grandma send me these socks? And all, you're 34 years old, wherever I was at the time, and you want to ask your grandma to send you socks? I'm all, okay, I guess not. We're going to take care of everything for you, but you're going to work for us and you're going to earn your keep. And I was like, dang, all right, who's this dude talking to me? You mean like this or whatever? And so they did that interview. I went back to the blocks, and somehow, I don't know how, but word got back to the Other Side Academy that I was still trying to manipulate ways and have people like give locations to drop stuff off. And so they had to come back, and they're like, man, we've been hearing stuff about you. We're getting ready to invite you in our home, and we're still hearing your name pop up, and it's not good. I'm like, bro, I said, I'm done. You good. You're right. Finally, the first time in my life, I was able to own something, right?
Yeah.
In that moment, because it's like, dang, I'm starting to get embarrassed, right? This dude who told me his story, sitting on the other side of the glass, said he did the same thing, been the same places. Doesn't look like, he looks like a federal agent. That's what he looked like when they walk in. They look like cops. And uh, I'm just like, that's kind of what I want. I didn't really know what it was, but I was like, oh, yeah, man, you're right. All right, I got you. I promise I'll come to that program and I'll do whatever you guys ask. I'll do anything to do whatever it takes. Got there. And I just told Whitney this story. I said I got there, and there was one of my buddies named Kevin there, and we ran together. And a couple women were there. A lot of people I knew. I'm like, oh, here's where you were, or whatever. And they're like, yeah, this place is decent, or whatever. And you can't talk to the women there for the first year unless it's work related and stuff. And so I told my buddy, I was like, hey man, what's up with this person and this person? Are they cool? Like, there's like, who's cool around here, whatever. Because these guys like hold you accountable. Because as soon as I got there, like, you can't talk about that. You can't talk about that. And I felt like I was just being dodged. You mean by everything? Everything I'm doing, I can't do nothing. They're like, yeah, you can't talk about nothing
It
about your
sounds like a
past.
group home for the teenage
Yeah,
kids, right?
they're like anything before, because you sit on a bench when you get there. Anything before the bench, if you bring it up, someone's going to fire a shot at you and let you know you can't talk about it. And the only thing you can do is say okay. And I'm like, what if I didn't do it? They say okay. All right. And so that is a lesson in itself that we'll get to in this conversation. Is okay as being the most powerful thing that I think I've learned. And uh all of a sudden, next thing I know, it's Tuesday night, and I go into a group. They have groups Tuesdays and Fridays where you just say okay, and if you have an issue, I just let them know, hey, I want to be in the group with so and so. I want to have a conversations. I don't think it's right that they held me accountable for wearing a hat. I didn't have a hat on. You can't even wear a hat here. If it was something like that, and you have an opportunity to be able to go in there and say, hey, you just told me the other day on the floor that I couldn't have a hat on, and you went and lied to the staff member about that. You know I didn't have a hat on, and they have a chance. You get to learn how to have dialogue. Typically my whole life it's like, no, you're gonna listen to what the hell I have to say and you're gonna shut up, and you're gonna, if that's what it's gonna be. And if it gets confrontational, my demeanor changes. And how's that? Like, I end up in
Yeah.
the back of a cop car, I end up hurting somebody, a friend or whatever, right? Whatever the situation may be, I end up throwing everything away because of how I looked in the moment. And so saying okay is powerful, because whether it's a boss at work, whether it's your wife telling you something, whether it's my daughter, whatever it is in life, just say okay, let it diffuse or whatever, and then push past it. But in the moment, I want instant gratification. They have to know that I'm not a pussy or whatever. My pride's in the way or whatnot. And I was in an all girl group, and the girls brought me the women. Sorry, as you call them, women at the other side academy. No disrespect. And the women brought me the group, and they're like, "Who do you think you are? We are not the same women. We have history, or whatever, but you do not come here and you do not do this, Will. Didn't you come here to change your life?" And I was blown away. I mean, I'm getting it from like 16 different women in here, whatever. And I'm like, dang. And when I was on the street, there's no like rules or etiquette, or
Yeah.
there's no structure, things you can't do. It was like, hey, yo, you want to hang out? I got a hotel room. And I already knew what was cracking, right? Didn't even have to ask questions. And we all know how that goes. And that's how I viewed them. I objectified them. And when they held me accountable and they stood up for themselves, I kind of sat back and I was like, whoa, that person can change. And I knew these people way different. And throughout my stay at the Other Side Academy, the 5.5 years that I have accumulated there with one gap in the middle of it, uh, um, those lessons are sprinkled through there. And I saw the most broken people that I knew in the street being brought back to life. It's like a plant withered away. If you saw booking pictures and stuff like that to who they are now, it's like connection is life, is the life support that brings us back.
Yep.
And it slowly was just sprinkled, and they give you micro doses of it. And uh, I'm like, dang, I gotta watch who I talk to. Still not wanting to change, right? Like, still got the same mentality. And they call it getting dirty there. That's when you do something, you don't hold yourself accountable. The integrity level at the SI Academy is really high.
Yeah.
And you get from day one, you get up and work. And for the first 3 months, you're there, you're wiping down walls, you're taking care of all the facility stuff, whatever. And as you've been there 3 months, it's freshman, sophomore, junior, senior, just like in school. And as you elevate and you graduate to sophomore, you get a job, and you go work in the thrift boutique or the moving company or the warehouse or the storage or whatever it is. And I'm like, so I'm going to go work with some staff member. This is cool. It's going to be like work crew or something like that or whatever. No, you're out there. I don't know if I have the term right, but it's a micro community for prepare you for the macro community. Is that the term right?
Yeah.
Small to the big.
Yep.
And That's exactly what the Other Side Academy is. That's exactly what I needed. It's rough and rugged. They call you out on your stuff or whatever. And I was like, how am I ever going to have a safe space to be able to practice the things I need, dealing with a boss, dealing with learning how to not objectify women, learning how to have healthy friendships with males, where we're not always gossiping or war storing or whatever. And for 5.5 years, I was able to get up, brush my teeth, go to work, have a good attitude, not get caught up, treat people with respect, and get through my workday. If I had an issue during the workday, which I did on several days, every day my life was a mess for a couple of years there, right? And because you're emotionally unstable,
Yeah.
they tell me to drink some water and push through it. If I had my feelings or whatever, they tell me to shove my feelings up my you know what and get back to work, right? But that's life. For some reason, we get there and we're sober for 10 seconds, like Dave says, and we think we have arrived. And when someone talks to me some way, oh, you can't talk to me like this right now. Your boss ain't going to deal with that on the street. He's running a Fortune 500 company or whatever. He ain't got time to talk about your feelings right now. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? And so all those lessons are sprinkled at the Other Side Academy, going to work, not getting caught up, coming back home, rinsing, repeat, and doing that over the course of time, and understanding that I had these feelings that were so strong that I usually would throw my life away for because someone talked to me or a situation happened and I just ended up going to use. And the more of those days that I got behind me, I was able to look back and fall on, like, okay, I've been here. Yeah, that dude did not talk to me right when I was checking him out or whatever, right? But I let him walk out of here or whatever. Didn't have to go talk to nobody. When I got home and we was chopping it up, eating dinner or whatever, I was able to share what happened or whatever, because I think that you should be able to release that to somebody, which they teach you that there. But it's all about timing and place and learning how to channel it through yourself. So that happened for years. Uh, Worked at the thrift boutique, worked on the moving company for a few years, worked at the thrift boutique. And I'm like, I journaled the whole time I was there. I never had anything really for my daughter, but I'm like, I was starting to think about my life. I'm like, how is she going to remember? Like, is she ever going to come back around? My oldest is like, I think my oldest, she's like 20, 23 now, whatever, doesn't talk to me. And I'm like, there's got to be something. Everything that I was doing, they're like, you have no character, Mr. Bell. Everything in my commitment was to shed my reputation to build character. And I'm like, shed my reputation to build character. And it all started sinking in. And it's like what they do there at the academy to have you do this called a retreat, where your closest peers share their story, and you're in there from like Friday to Sunday. I think mine was like 4.5, 5 hours long. I don't know about now, it's because it's been a few years, but it was one of the longest ones, just because I had a hard time telling my story. They were picking it apart. I was still glorifying it. I wanted all these things, whatever. So it took a long time,
Yeah.
but they're like, man, you are so full of yourself, and you think everything you've done gave you some status out here or whatever. You have no clue what it's like to be a decent man. So that everybody started pulling me aside after that once they heard my story, and they kind of got a better understanding of who I was. And like, hey man, just look around you. Like, everything we know as humans, now that I know it or whatever, I'm a little bit more wiser, is that everything we obtain in life is through what we are exposed to, habits, things like that, values,
Yep.
morals. And if I was in the street, man, I'm not gonna coattail off this dude. Why do I want to be like Freddie over here? You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna be my own. But that's because I didn't want to let my humility be like, yeah, Freddie is doing it. Whether he's doing drugs or whatever, yeah, he's on his game. He ain't got the cops at his house. He still got all those things. But I'm like, nah, man, I'm gonna do it my own way.
Yeah.
But there was a couple of people there. John Labooty, he works at the Thrift Boutique. He's a staff member at the Other Side Academy. He's the quiet one. He's humble, smart. He's a good listener. And I'm like, I was just attracted to that because I'm loud, funny, obnoxious. The list goes on, right? And I walk into a room and it's like, I'm there. And sometimes, and so to lead into that, I got a lot of things. I started coattailing off John Labooty, and he's got a lot of good qualities. And so I started trying that. And then over the course of times, I just started doing those things and being more gentle and listening and stuff like that. And then there's another guy there, Gregory Youngblood. He's like, man, he's a bigger dude. He's African American. When he's in the room, you know it. And he's like, he told me in a group one day, he's like, man, you just need to be the smallest person in the room. He's like, the smallest person in the room, and you will be the biggest person in the room. And I didn't make sense at first or whatever. And so sometimes there's just a time and place for me to be present and not let my demeanor get in the way. I want to be approachable because my demeanor throughout my whole life, getting tattoos and working out and doing all this stuff when I hit the street, was to deter people from messing with me or whatever.
Yeah.
And he's like, you're so used to that, you don't even know you're doing it. So I took that quality on. Uh, Dave DeRocher, he's got a jacket of where he's just raw, and it's the simplest things. He makes me feel like this big. I'll be like, I'll go tell him my situation. He's like, man, just look at it like this, and he tell me it, and I'm like, well, duh, right? Like the simplest things. And I was like, I feel fucking stupid now. And I walk out of his office, and then something happened the next day, and he'll come in at 5:30. He's always the first one on the floor. I'll be standing at his front at his door, and he'd be like, "What now, Will?" I'm like, "I need to talk to you." I tell him whatever's going on in my head or whatever, and I'd leave again. Same, rinse and repeat. And over the course of time, I'm like, man, it's really just common sense. It's not rocket science getting my life together. I just need to be decent. And so that's what the Other Side Academy taught me. So my 5.5 years there split up in two. I graduated at 2.5 years. I graduated. They're like, man, you shouldn't graduate. I'm like, nah, I want to go back out there. I got this girl, she got a house. I know she's doing good. And they're like, man, that's bad news. So I went back out there for a few months, picked up a case right out the jump. It was 2 weeks out. Um, I was 2 weeks out. I had a place on State Street, and I had a buddy, Kevin, there, the guy that I told you about that, hey, are these girls cool, whatever, at the academy? He was out too. And so I started mingling with graduates now. There wasn't no graduates then when I first got out, or when I first started the academy, because it was brand new. But everybody started slipping. They wanted to graduate 2 years. Some people stay longer. Um, uh, Sitting there with this girl. He's like, man, you want to get high? I said, yeah. I got high, man. And next thing I know, I just stood up. And right after I did it, I'm a junkie, so I use needles and stuff like that, which is not good after you've been in treatment for 2.5 years. And I stood up, and next thing you know, the last thing I remember was just going straight to the ground, and then blacking out, and the next thing I know, I'm on a stretcher, waking up from the Narcan, and I'm lived in a basement apartment, and we're in the avenues, and it goes straight up, and I just remember just trying to come off of this stretcher, and I was just full of energy. I don't know what they hit me with. It was Narcan or whatever, the other shot, the adrenaline shot or whatever, but I was freaking out, and all I saw were cops, red and blues, and I was like, dang, I'm going back to jail now. Like scared, like, oh my, how do I get out of this situation, right? And I had all this energy, and uh go to the hospital. The doctors, the whatever the guy is or whatever, he's like, man, you're lucky, bro. He's like, you are one of the lucky ones. He's like, I get these in here a lot or whatever. And this was at the university or Salt Lake Regional. And he's like, man, who you want me to call? You need to call someone safe. He's like, because I know, I don't, he's like, I don't think that you're ready or whatever, because he could just tell how I was acting.
Mm-hmm.
I thought about calling Dave at the Other Side Academy. I was on my phone, and I scrolled down to, oh girl, come pick me up. And I was nervous. You know what changed? Is I didn't want to shoot drugs no more at the time, at least for a couple of days. I was
Yeah.
scared to shoot it, but I was still going to use it. That's the risk I was still taking. I still wasn't ready. I was sick too. And she picked me up, and because of that, and I remember on the drive there, we drove right, the ambulances drive right by the Other Side Academy. I remember looking out the window, and I was bawling like a little baby. I mean, how did my life get like this, right? And a little badass baby of me or whatever, that's how I was though at the time. But then I leave there and I go right back to it.
Yep.
And uh end up getting high again or whatever, started doing checks, and got linked up with a few people. And this is kind of like where life or death started sitting in for me, I think, or whatever, and realizing like, damn, I'm 36 years old, and things are about to get real heavy or whatever. I could tell I'm getting into, but I'm all in or not. So started doing checks, got picked up once and this is a God shot. And the Other Side Academy laughs about me all the time. They thought I was lying at first, but until we called the federal courthouse. Yeah, I'm the most paranoid dude. I still am to this day, but it was a trip whenever I get sober or whatever. I'm still paranoid, but we were sitting there doing checks, and I end up getting picked up, being this girl arguing. I'm paranoid. Cops are outside. I go outside. She like tries to take a bag. They see me take the bag back from her. They come out of the bushes. They found a backpack full of checks and credit cards. And I'll wrap up my lesson of this story at the end of these three. And that happened. They're sitting there on the phone or whatever, and the group I was running with, I knew that they was doing some things or whatever, but all of a sudden they like ran my name, and I'm off paper. I told them just got out of the Other Side Academy. I started slipping up. They ran my name, and then they ran her name. They come back, took us out of cuffs, and told us to get out of town. They took the backpack and walked off. I was like, what the heck? That was the most bizarre thing. She looked at me. She's like, what did you do? I said, I didn't do nothing. Let's get out of here. So we split. And it was about 3 or 4 weeks later. I'm in West Valley on 5600 West. Jackie, if you're watching, I love you. I'm glad you got your stuff together. It's cool seeing what you're doing. You need to leave that dude alone, though. Uh, uh, Me and her sitting at Walmart. I go in with a fake ID, fake credit card, thinking that the dude in the back is like going to be cool, whatever. I show up flashing the ID, and he's like, "Man, I can't give this back to you." I'm like, "You're gonna give it back to me." And then I thought for sure he was gonna be cool. And like 11 o'clock at night, I get in a tussle with this dude, and we end up running out of the store. And there just happens to be a cop sitting out of every front Walmart, like a retard. I run right past him, get in the car, and cops hit us. I have another backpack full of checks, credit cards, stuff like that, or whatever. Let them know it's all mine. They let her go. She drives off. Uh, Before we get down to the county jail, the cops pull off and off the road. They pull me out of the car. I have another car come up, put lights on me. Is that the guy or whatever? And then they put me back in the car. And I'm like really confused now. Mind you, I'm starting to go into withdrawals. I get booked in and uh, uh, Park City, San Pete County, and Davis County all the next day came and pulled me out and was talking to me, asking me about checks and certain names. And I never been to these towns and done any dirt, right? And so I'm like, dang, what's really going on? Now I'm like, who am I messing with, right? And I thought it was, they don't know who they're messing with. And 72 hours, 72 hours popped up. I said, what am I still being held on? My name said it was in the red. They're like, you got an $80 bail. You're in here for a traffic ticket. You ain't paid. I'm all, what? So
That was it.
I call old girl. She gets me out of jail, and we're out doing the same thing, hitting mailboxes, getting mail, stealing little old ladies' checks that they work hard for, or whatever, just being a thug, uh, not knowing the impact. And old girl's like, I want to go to treatment. This is Jackie I'm talking about, and I'm like, all right, I didn't want her to, but at the same time, I'm still that perpetrating file. Like, okay, yeah, I got you. You go to treatment, do your thing, or whatever, Can I still stay at your mom's house, right? Yeah, that type of deal.
Yeah.
And she let me, and she had her kids there, which was messed up uh, on my part for sure. But she knows that she was able to finally get her stuff together. So she took her out to Reflections, and I'm right when I leave Reflections, I pick up a couple of people, and we're in American Fort doing the same thing, mailbox hopping, and get pulled over. It's the federal postal inspectors, Secret Service, and they got some camera, and they got a tow truck with them. They pull us out, put the car in a tow truck, tell everybody I'm with to walk away, put me in cuffs. We drive back to Draper, and I pull up to her house, and I just started crying because the feds were just everywhere. I mean, they were inside the house. Her mom's down out there holding their son and stuff like that. And she's like, "What's going on?" I said, "I have no idea." And right when they pull the car on the driveway, they go downstairs, they pull out printers, papers, the stuff that we were doing or whatever. And um, at that time, I'm like, dang, I'm screwed right now. I know I'm done. I get booked in jail, and her mom came to get me out.
Wow,
Her
that's
mom came
nice
to
of
get me out for
her.
not my interlock, my not for the charges, my interlock. I was supposed to have an interlock device for the traffic ticket, and because I was driving and not having it, that was my ticket. She paid my ticket. I got out. Not long after that, I got picked up for possession charge and went back to the other side academy. And so when I went back to the other side academy, I'm like, I already had a slew of charges that I
Yeah.
collectively picked up or whatever and bailed out on in between all these things. I just say these three main things because it's a gosh shot. Still to this day, I don't know nothing about it. And we just recently talked about it. That I get in there, I'm telling the academy, I said, there's some serious stuff out there that I really need to take care of because they're like, we got all these cases. Is there anything else? And there's like some 120-day disposition. I'm like, we got to call the federal courthouse. I would be thinking that they're outside I'm like, can you guys go look at that car across the street over there? And they're like, Mr. Bell, there's nobody watching you. I would literally think that they were watching me and stuff. So they call the courthouse. They do a 120-day disposition. The federal courthouse is all, there's nothing in our system of Mr. Bell or anything like that. And for the next, I stayed there almost 3 years, stayed just a little bit longer, or whatever they asked me to. And I took their advice and stayed a little bit longer, which I'm grateful for. I did. They helped me out. Um, by God's grace, man, I still to this day I haven't heard anything from those. That would have put me away for a really long time. I was already going away for a really long time if I wouldn't have went back to the other side academy. And so this time though, I took a different look at myself. Like, what does integrity mean to me? If you have integrity, they teach you that nothing should matter.
Yeah.
If you're just who you are and it's just you're authentic, nothing really matters or whatever. You don't got to worry about lying or being a different person in the room. If you don't have integrity and you're just that dude that just does whatever you want, then nothing still matters. But which one holds more weight if you tip it on the scales that has more value and is tangible in life? It's having integrity for the good reasons. And uh, there was a time where they brought a group out and from another program, and they do this thing called the cleanup. Dave knew when this group came into the house. He told the director of that group, he's like, "Your guys are dirty. You guys are trying to make your program successful. This is what you need to do. You need to clean up anything you guys have been doing at work, at the house, anything like that. That you guys are holding each other's mud and not saying to the staff members. You guys need to take this pad of pen and write down everything you've done. That's the only way you can do it. It's the cancer that builds because one little mistake and then one hit
Yeah.
turns into two hits, one latch, and you builds and builds and builds. And he's like, I see it on all your guys' face. And every single person that came from that group, and they're from Pennsylvania, in Salt Lake City, a group of people called Soul Recovery, uh, uh, came out, and it was a cool experience. And me sitting back watching that, because he called the whole house out too at the same time. And if my guys got anything like that, you need to get. If not, you don't got no balls. And in that moment, I'm like, dang, I'll go in front of a judge and tell him, yeah, I did this and I did that, but I can't tell this dude the stuff that I was doing. And it was kind of petty stuff,
Yeah.
but still, I don't want to risk it. And so I got me a pad and pen and wrote down some stuff. And they put me on a 7-day contract. Didn't restart me. Some people get restarted. And those 7 days, as I was wiping walls down because I wasn't able to go to work, I reflected a lot on the direction I wanted to be. And I felt so relieved. The littlest things, the little conversations, I use the phone here or whatever, it doesn't seem like it's big to the real world. But in actuality, those are the biggest things. When you start holding things like that, it's the behavior of why you're doing it.
Mhm.
And I felt my attitude, the way I mentored the younger students, everything changed about me. I heard it, I felt it, I believed it, and my time was to get ready to graduate, and they asked me to stay a little longer. I did, and uh, I went in and told Dave. I said, I want to stay. I want to do this for work and do this for the rest of my life. He's like, give me till January 1st, man. Let me move some things around or whatever. You just stay so we don't have to fill positions. Because when you got someone who's been there 120 students and it's top heavy, when all the top guys just want to leave, you have people that ain't mature yet to run things or whatever. They have
Yeah.
crew bosses. And I was like, I got you. So I did that. They hired me on, help be a part of starting the other side village. And they're like, you want to go to London? Oh yeah, of course I want to go to London. I don't know if they're going to let me, but yeah, I'll go to London. They're like, yeah, you can go to London. So I went and got my passport and I was itching. And I'm like, they're not going to let me go to London. I swear they're not going to let me go to London. 72 felonies, been to prison 6 times, right? And I got my passport April 17th or something like that. I was on a plane for the first time leaving Utah for the first time in years or whatever, right? And I flew into London, and I had no idea the impact or the scale of what I was doing, right? I just knew that I had great mentors around me, and uh, I guess they're like, yeah, we're gonna go in the prisons, we're gonna share a story, we're gonna get information from them, we're gonna learn everything they got because the UK has best studies of therapeutic communities and stuff like that, or whatever, and dual diagnosis. And I'm like, yeah, this does not make sense to me, but okay, I'll ride along with you, right? And but to that paradigm shift, landing at Heathrow Airport in London, where we stand? Oh, the Piccadilly. Piccadilly is like the Times Square of New York. It's in London though. And I was downtown, like all the videos I seen, the movies I seen on TV, like it was out. I was like, whoa. And full circle the whole time there, it was like so surreal uh, that I would reflect in the conversation I have. That's just like my life.
Yeah.
Right outside my window at 37, 36 years old is what I want, what I need, connection, traveling. I'm surrounded by all these people. No different from when I was 12 years old, watching MTV, looking outside my window, looking for some. I'm still that person trying to find something to fill myself with. I just did it all for the wrong reasons. And like Dave says, I did this for 20 something years or whatever. I'll spend the rest of my life doing it for this. And he's called it the black hat, putting on the white hat. And I was like, this is pretty bad, eh? And went to inside some of the prisons, and I'm like, there's no way they're gonna let me in these prisons, right? I'm all taking pictures and stuff outside, and they gotta take my phone, and sometimes they erase the pictures because the queen has the rights or something like that to the prisons out there. And we went right in. We sat right in the units. We chopped it up with all of them. Some of them we went in their cell blocks. I went in and I'd see their walls. They're lifers. All of them are lifers. And I'm like, hey man, tell me your story. How'd you get here? And I was just mirroring what other people taught me to do. And it was cool because I was like, dang, I can really learn some stuff and start to, and these jackets are starting to feel like they're my own. I put my own little twist to it. And the experiences I felt there, and these dudes that are never getting out, and they love hip hop and American music. And I was like, it was cool. And we left them, and we reassured them, man, you may never be getting out, but we're gonna go back and tell your guys' story, right? You guys, this isn't all for nothing. And that was powerful when those conversations took place. And um, but my story don't end there. I spent 2.5 weeks in London and travel around like anything. I get a tattoo out there and like, why'd you get a tattoo? We're out here on a business trip. Do you not know we're starting a $95 million project? I'm like, well, I wanted to get it fixed. You said that we can go out. It's after 6 o'clock. Just take a partner so we won't get jacked or whatever. So I go to a tattoo parlor. Then what do? I'm like, I'm a man. I've been away for a couple of years. I'm like, I've never been to a strip club. Let's go to a strip club, right? And I'm with the manager, like one of the guys who's managing it. He's like, yeah, that would be a good idea. We go in. It's the stupidest strip club I've ever been in. It was not like it was on TV. They were just sitting down and you got to like buy them a drink, and got in trouble for that. I got back, someone said something, and I got the most brutal reprimand in front of the whole other side academy about the decisions I made. And I'm like, what's the big deal? I'm not a student no more. But full circle, like the state, the Governor Cox, Mayor Mendenhall, Senator Howe, all these people at the Capitol, whenever I was going to city council and chamber of commerce and all these things, trying to jump through hoops, I knew how fragile the situation was, and how the community was iffy on wanting to start something of this larger scale.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't comprehend that when I was over there wanting to get a tattoo or going to a strip club. And if the mafia usually runs those things, if they would have come in there and busted it, and then they would have found out, oh, the other side village is here in town doing research, and two of their people are at a strip club or whatever, and then next thing on the front page, and then it gets back here and they're like, yeah, this is not the people that we want to lend our accountability to or whatever, to run some stuff. It clicked then. Okay, I got you. And the reprimand felt good. My grandma's health started declining. She's 85 years old. She's had stage 4 cancer about 12 years ago. They found a tumor the size of a grapefruit in her stomach. And I remember me and my kid's mom went down there to see her and thought she was going to die. They moved her up to Logan, Utah, to be next to my aunt. My aunt married a returned missionary who she met when she was in Florida. And they've been married. They're real LDS and real good family. She beat that, and but just recently, that was 15 years ago, but just recently she found out she had breast cancer. They found spots on her liver, and so I was like, I was in a spot, I had some money saved up, uh met this girl. I was like, just so you know, before we get serious, I'm probably going to be making a move. If you want to come, you can come. And she's like, I'll go anywhere with you. And I never had any decent relationships. I think I had my grandma up here from what I seen her do and how she conducts herself and her manners and values and morals, that I look at every other woman like they can't be like that. But I told myself with this one, I've never asked a girl out. I've never bought her anything. I've never done none of that stuff before in my life. So when we started dating, I was like, I'm going to treat you different, just so you know. And I told her all the good, the bad, the ugly. And but I didn't know what I was doing. I was still blind.
Mm-hmm.
But I am like a hopeless romantic. I watch like The Notebook and the Crazy Rich Asians and all these things, right? And so Nick on Crazy Rich Asians is my dude. If he is watching, he's probably not. Man, I give credit to. He's a decent guy. Seriously, so I just started pretending.
I'm not that big, so
I
I
know,
don't think he's watching. So.
but he might. If Nick can do it, I can do it, and he makes it look so easy, just being just a decent guy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Humble. He comes from a bunch of money. And I was like, it doesn't matter where I'm from or what I got or whatever. I'm just going to open her door. I don't care what nobody thinks. I'm going to hold her hand and not care what anybody thinks. No, it's her birthday. She ain't going to know nothing. All these little TikTok videos that I'm so good at watching, that I see all these little cute things that would want to do, right? I just started doing them, right?
Yeah.
Recording it, time lapsing it or whatever, doing all these things or whatever. And I just treated her differently at the beginning. And moved down to St. George. Before we moved, we made sure that we both had jobs. She worked in the emergency room. I got a job at Hughes Construction. Dave got me the job. We drove down there, made sure we had the apartment. We were still living up here though, had everything locked in, made the move and tore my ACL. I moved there November 1st when we moved in. January, like 1st-ish, I ended up tearing my ACL playing basketball. Still going to work every day, going to the gym every day. Routine is key for me, at least.
Yeah.
Being organized, and tore my ACL. that was kind of my downfall. Slowly started drinking. We went to Miami. We've traveled around to Denver. We've traveled around, sharing my story, doing things like that, watching football games. Had a pretty good life at the time. And when I tore my ACL, I became a case manager at Steps Recovery. Did that, wanted to get back in the line of work. And then I was also going to Paul Mitchell Hair School to become a barber. Graduated Paul Mitchell Hair School. um, uh, Life was good, but then it started deteriorating. I think I for sure I was a contributing factor to it. Um, Still going through a divorce, so I won't get into the nitty gritty of things or whatever. But we know we both play a part in it, and I definitely own my stuff. But I let the situation fuel me as an excuse to do what I wanted to do because I lost all connection. I didn't
Mhm,
lose it. I chose not to have it around me in a sense. If that makes sense to you,
mhm. Kinda
because
went back into what was happening before.
yeah. And so people would reach out to me and I'd kind of ignore it because I knew I didn't want to face it. Sometimes they'd call and I'd answer and I'd be like, yeah, this is what's going on. Um, uh, so when she finally left, it was Christmas Eve. I remember sitting in a hotel at the Eureka. I got a picture of it on my Facebook. If you guys go through it, you'll see it. 2024 or yeah, 2024, Christmas Eve. And I'm sitting there all alone, right? Even though I asked her like, get out of here. It was pretty nasty. And I'm on a text thread for the family. And the Christmas Day, everybody's texting each other. And I was just bawling. Like, how did I get here? I let this whole thing deteriorate. I could have done something different, but I didn't. You mean? I knew
Mhm,
exactly what I was doing, being sneaky. She wasn't know I was getting high or nothing like that. I would go down to Mesquite and get drugs from my dad, come back. Well, she was at work. I'd be at the casinos when after I stopped working for Steps, when I started getting high, I just didn't want to, it didn't feel right to be there, right? And so I just told them, hey, I need more hours at school and stuff like that. I can't work there. Still went to school though. I was able to do that. And uh yeah, I hid everything from her, but I was sitting in that hotel. I'm like, dang. And that was another paradigm shift. And I was getting high, but usually I'm wild out and I'm doing like crime and being a real dirtbag, even though I'm still being a dirtbag to myself. But this time I was introduced to fentanyl. And I was scared because I mean, even though I used heroin and whatnot, I just knew like people would say, they're like, when they handed it to me, they're like, hey man, you like need to be careful. Don't do this. And I'm like, bro, you're tripping me out. Like, just let me do it. And over the course of the 3 4 months that I relapsed, um, there were times where I would wake up. One time was I pulled up to the house and we're in Nevada and it's hot out, super hot out there, midsummer. And I pull up, I turn the car off, I take one hit, and I was literally getting out of the car, never even made it to get the door open. Sitting in a closed car, my car was black. Sitting in a closed car with the windows up is like dangerous. I've seen it on the news. People
mhm,
die, dogs die. Well, next thing I know, I'm getting pulled out by the paramedics and I am like covered. It's like someone took a bucket and dumped it on me, just covered in sweat. I don't know how long I've been in the car and been out. And by the grace of God, someone come out of the house that I was pulled up in. It was a ways away, and they come knock on my window and saw and called 911. And luckily they come out. Luckily they weren't knotted out in there or whatever. I'd probably been dead. And my dad was in the house next to me. Didn't even. He was so scared. I would assume from what they were saying that he didn't even want to come see me. He thought I was dead. And I still to this day haven't seen him after that. Still to this day, haven't talked
wow.
to him. Nothing. Um, so there's that situation. I was at a pawn shop. Uh, Same thing, getting ready to go in the pawn shop. Took one hit, woke up. This time it was the police though. The police just thought I was passed out, still covered in sweat or whatnot. I knew exactly what happened. They pulled me out, but I had a warrant. So my warrant, the booked me in jail, bailed me back out. It was for a traffic ticket warrant, and then uh, uh, this happened like 5 or 6 times, but the big one, like I was talking about with the 6 Narcan a little bit earlier when I was telling you, is I go to this house. We're behind old. I mean, my mentality, I would never like go in these houses because I knew better or whatever. In a sense, I'm like, I shouldn't be here, right? And I looked at my lifestyle was different. I don't dress like how I used to dress,
Yeah.
gangbangerish or whatever. I'm more approachable, and I just didn't fit in with these guys at the time. But I was still internally those were my people, and so I go to this shed. I'm sitting down. It's cold at the time. No, it's not cold. It's starting to get. It's about fall time, and uh we're sitting there and uh she's like, yeah, you want to take one hit? I took a hit. She passed it. She passed it around. There's like 5 or 6 people in the room. They all took a hit. And when I got it, I just took one hit and everybody else was fine. And I was out. And that's when I woke up about 6 minutes later, they said, and there was all the paramedics around. I just sat up and the girl's face, Trisha Oden, she's one of my friends on Facebook. I gave you a shout out the other day. Hopefully you're doing good. Um, uh, Seeing her face and how scared she was, because I've OD'd other times before, and it was kind of like it's kind of like people were used to it.
Yeah.
And mind you, I felt so bad because her boyfriend just recently committed suicide and stuff like that. She was already going through some hard things, and I can only imagine her seeing me lifeless and what she was saying, the way I looked and what was going on. Like, there's no way. I felt just fine when I sat up, and uh, the cops trying to get me to go to the hospital. I denied it over and over and over. They gave me the Narcan, and it's crazy. They just let me get in my car and drive away, just like
Wow.
that. Yeah, after they almost pronounced me dead. And when I got home and I saw my grandma, I gave her a hug. Didn't tell her anything about it or whatever. And she knows a little bit about my story, but she's kind of getting a little bit more than probably that she would like her heart to feel. Uh, I started thinking about exactly where I was at, the people that I was around. And I was still using it. And I'd sit outside this house and I'd tell the girl that I was with, like, what do these guys got that I want? Like, they don't have, not that they're bad people. That's not the path that I want in life.
Yeah.
And I would tell her, like, I'm about to do something. Like, I'm going to do something different. Even though 5 minutes later, I'm at the penny machine spending my last couple bucks. Uh, there was something in me, but I was open. I was eager. But hugging my grandma after that and just hearing her talk about her health and me making good choices and all these things or whatever, uh, really set in, like, why am I here, man? She ain't got nobody. My dad's still strung out, right? He ain't got nothing going on for him or whatever. She's down here all by herself. She done put all her stuff in my name because she thought that I was being responsible. And look at me again being a perpetrating fraud. And if there's like, I never knew what it was like to like care for somebody. And I always like tell her I love her and stuff like that, but it never really held any weight. I would just say it to get her off my back, and but I meant it when I told her that. In the moment, I meant it, and then uh, I told her one day, I said I'm gonna take a little trip and go see Anne Marie, and I said I'll be back, and she's like, "Are you sure?" And I'm like, "Yeah, it'll be cool." And I got in the car, picked up my buddy. Someone else was supposed to go with us, but I didn't want them knowing I was getting high on fentanyl at the time. And so we left her behind. Spent all day driving up here, pillaging every little city that we come across, and pulled into Payson. And I'm like, bro, I said, I didn't like do it daily. I just, every time I took one hit of fentanyl, I died. But for some reason, I always wanted to take one hit to calm down.
Yeah.
And I'm like, he's like, man, this stuff's mixed with meth. You'll be good. And so we pull off in Payson. It's like 9 o'clock at night. We left like 8 in the morning. It took us all day to get up here, and he's not from out here. And I pulled off and I took one hit, and next thing I know, I'm waking up in the back of the paramedics again. I'm like, damn, like how again? This is crazy. Like, I don't know
Mhm.
why I keep coming back. And again, I'm trying to do this field sobriety test and all this or whatever. And but I was at peace. I knew I was going back to jail. I got a car full of stuff, right? My pockets are, who knows what's in my pockets. The paramedics done cut my shoelaces off. Like, I'm hit. I'm going, I'm done. And of course, he's got to do his routine or whatever. I fail it. I get booked into jail. And but this time was different. You know, there was something that came over me. I didn't like have withdrawals. I was okay with it. Still was able to hold my head a little high, even though everybody in the county jail, they knew who I was. And like, dang man, we ain't seen you in a long time. And so those were lessons in itself. Like people really see something different in me, you
Mhm.
know? And and I felt different. Not that I'm like different from anybody that's that's doing time right now, but like I put in some work and I could still own it, but it felt foreign to me at the same time, like I wasn't worthy of it. So I started watching this thing called the Pando app. And for those anybody incarcerated, the Pando app is docu-series, movies, real life stories, street outreach, things like that. And I just got turned on to podcasts, and you know there was several of them where it's people getting out of prison, and it's like day one. Here's what goes checking in. they just record, they're documenting everything that they're doing, and and I'm like, dang, that's kind of cool. That's interesting. I'm kind of like a people person. I love taking pictures. Everybody knows it. Someone told me today, hey, can you please not tag me in my photos or whatever? I'm like, oh, whatever. I'll not tag you then. But they're mad at me, which is okay, and that's fine. Uh, uh, but I'm like, I can do something like that, and so I started praying.
Mhm.
I started watching a lot of spiritual things, and one thing my wife wanted me to do, we was together. It was, I told her, I'm the one she told me about it, but I suggested it for her birthday. I was like, we're gonna watch The Chosen, but I never did it. I was too busy getting high.
It's a good series though, man. Like I
Bro,
love
I'm
that
telling you,
series. Yeah.
I just finished. I'm on season 5, episode 2, because in the county jail we didn't have the new episode. But I watched it 3 times in there because it was so good, and that put it in perspective. I can't read a Bible and comprehend it. I'm sure I could now that I got a little bit more knowledge to it. But I always thought religion was for people who are worthy,
Mhm.
right? Not to talk about religion or politics or whatever, but that was my view on it, and I was so wrong. And
Definitely.
to listen to the story of one person and his journey and his purpose, it's like that's what I've been trying to do my whole life, is to find a purpose. Didn't know what I would serve for or anything like that, but The Chosen was like captivating me, and Uh, and I was so comfortable with it that I would tell the fellas sitting next to me. It didn't matter. Whatever it was, black, white, gang member, whatever. This is what I'm doing. This is what I'm watching. This was so cool. And they're like, what are you gonna do when you get back from the kitchen? I'm gonna go watch Chosen. Right. I did not care. And
Maybe
uh
Jonathan Rumi's watching
yeah,
and he can
exactly. And
I follow him on social media, so
yeah.
maybe he'll see this.
And we get together, have a Chosen club. So yeah, man, God started moving me and I started praying. And in that
Mhm.
Pando app, there's some apps that like, well, if you don't know how to pray, here's some different ways. Check these guys' podcasts out. And I didn't. I mean, I just say what's up to them. How you doing? Can you give me this? And can you make this happen? Like if it is gonna poof and be there. But I started my prayers nowadays, praying, whatever it is for you, is I just asking, hey man, I ain't trying to get nothing from you. I just want to be taught how to do this and how to do that. I
Yeah.
don't need nothing handed to me. That's the last thing I need right now, whatever. And slowly but surely my heart just started chipping away. Started letting things down. And praying daily, uh, like got me to a point to where, damn, I could be okay with myself.
Yeah.
I don't really need nobody. I just need whatever vibe that I'm putting out, right, to be able to feel okay with it. Because sometimes I feel real alone. But within them walls, there's something there. And so, long story short, uh, I started grinding. I started writing some podcasts. Putting it out there that I want to do a podcast. And the cops are like, "What do you need this address to in Tampa Bay or whatever for this ministry or whatever?" I'm like, "Man, I'm about to do some things." Right. And they're all Mr. Bell, they always needing something. And they give it to me, which is cool. Thank whoever made them feel my power. But that started chipping away at me too. I'm like, dang, man, these guys are like, look at me like I'm all weird,
Yeah.
But at the same time, aren't we about helping people be bold and be courageous and dream big and shoot for the stars and stuff like that? My whole life, I've always shot for the gutter.
Mhm.
But in prison, I'm like, this, dang, I want to do, I could feel it in me that there's something big. There's something I have to offer. I don't know what it was. But I'm saying, man, I'd sit at nighttime and I'd be pillow talking. I'd be like, you just guide me. And so I just been bulldozing it. And while I'm there, I did the RISE program. Tiffany and Sarah, shout out to the RISE program in the county jail and aftercare. Tiffany Allred is a woman version of Dave, as is Whitney is of me. I was telling her that today. uh, uh, but she is right. Dave DeRocher at the Other Side Academy, anything he said, all the things that he warned me about, everything's came true. And I always tell him that he's right. And Tiffany, I was like, this is what I needed. They're raw, they're real, they care. Two
Mhm.
women coming in there. I would never stay like me being macho with that. I have two women that I want to be like. And so they're like, if you just do what we say, you'll be fine. When you get out, call us. When you get out, show up to aftercare. When you get out, do these things. And I'm like, I got you. But I knew it was empty words to them because they've heard it a million times. But I've never showed up for myself or anybody else. I did for 20 seconds when I was trying to do good. But I'm like, I'm just going to do it. I'm just going to do whatever it was. And I'm going to tell them what I want to do. And we're going to see what doors open. So I got released. And thankfully, I had two cases, one out of St. George and one up here. Afforded probation with a prison recommendation and a pretty good public defender. And uh, got out and I just started grinding, man. Had a bunch of opportunities, doors opened up. I'm in a sober living house right now, called the Familiar House. Went to Life Balance, things didn't work out. There, insurance purposes, whatever. I was already employed, making too much money, wasn't able to do that. Wasn't willing to fork out $1,600 per month for treatment. Took selfies with my GPS officer, my probation officer. I'm taking selfies with I take selfies with everybody every time I see a cop and stuff like that because it's a reminder, man. Like I
Yeah.
have a lot of gratitude for them because they ain't the bad people. If it wasn't for them, I still be out there or
Yeah.
someone would be getting hurt, right? And I gotta swallow that sometimes, even though I get pissed off and jumpy when a cop pulls up or whatever. But I'm doing good. And uh, uh, today, man, I've been working at UIS, a steel plant, just from day one when I got released. I called Tiffany and Sarah. I got them on a thread. I called Dave DeRocher every single day. I said I want to work my way back into the academy because the dining room is like the kitchen, it's where everybody eats and stuff like that, and the congregation. That's where the medicine's at. When you see someone brand new in there, just come in out of prison or off the street or whatever, and they're fresh or whatever, it's just a reminder you see it full circle or whatever. And so I said, I want some of that medicine back. And so every single morning when I leave the gym, I text them, I send them pictures. When a situation happens, I let them know before I tore my rotator cuff. I say, hey man, just so you know, I'm going to the hospital just to have some accountability.
Yeah.
It seems like, why do you got to have to tell somebody all these things or whatever? That's how I do it. If I don't do it, it's that extreme for me, whether it's in the lifestyle or whatever it is. And and I even joked with Tiffany on it. I said, hey, just so you know, if these text messages are getting too much, it's on you guys. You guys told me to do it, right? And but they love it. They're good people, and I know that they appreciate it. And I just hope that they feel what they're doing is paying off, and it is. And so yeah, I'm trying to start a docu series called The Restart, from Out of the Ashes, because I don't think I'm starting over. I'm just
Hmm.
pushing restart from where I'm at, and symbolic symbol it being symbolic to rising out of the ashes is everything turned to ash across my path. Relationship, things, places, or thing, or anything like that. And I just want to be able to reach people to show them what you're going through on day one, day 35, being told no, having your PO restrict you, whatever it is, having to move from one sober living to another because of situations, having to juggle insurance, all these life situations that you can't learn in a jail cell or anything like that. Here's what you're going to be going through. And so expect it. Even though it's common sense to us, we already know it, but it's good to be able to see something. That's what helped me by watching those podcasts. And so I go to Rise. I went to my AA meeting for the first time sober last night. Was able to see a good friend of mine get a 6-year chip. Uh, my kid's mom allows me to come around and live vicariously through her other little daughter, which is my daughter's sister. And then the most powerful moment was last Sunday. My kid's mom, my kid's mom, yeah, my kid's mom's mom died,
Oh, I'm
and
sorry.
I mean, it was a drastic thing, but it was crazy to sit there and she's like, "You want to go to the hospital with me?" I'm like, "Yeah, cool." And over the phone, her mom would be talking, and say, "Hey, hello," whatever. She knew who I was. Hey, tell Will I said hi, and they joke around. And we get to the hospital, and to see this lady who has been in the church her whole life, and there's community, there's church people there, they're giving blessings, there's family from out of different cities, states, I don't know where they're all from, all over, they're there.
Yeah.
And I walked in that room and I was like, I'm thinking to myself, this is crazy. And I'll be texting my kid's mom my emotions through words or whatever. And I don't think it's quite set in for her quite yet. She's handling it like a boss because she's in charge of everything or whatever, which is cool. But I know she's probably hurting. But I'm just like seeing that and her dad sitting it because she would come out of it and she'd be like, just let me go. You know, and then she'd go right back out. And it was like it was as if she was already dead. It was just the most craziest thing. And they're like, we're putting her on hospice. And when they do that, they pull everything. And uh, seeing someone who wanted her to be there for the 22nd, for their 50th anniversary, hold her hand and like, say, it's okay. You can go. And to be able to record that and give it to Kim, while they're surrounded by it, showed me like, and that's who I want to be like. That's good qualities. That's character,
Yeah, it
and
is.
that's gotta be hard. And I've never like lost nobody who's been close to me. I know I'm gonna go through with my grandma, but it was such a sad situation, but so beautiful at the same time. And I'm like, I texted my kid's mom. I said, "There's something in this room right now." I said, "It's powerful." When they gave the blessing, and uh, I said, "I gotta go though." I said, "I got a meeting I gotta be to," and she texted her brother and said, "Hey, you might want to be here by 10 o'clock. They're gonna pull off her oxygen and stuff like that." And right when her brother showed up and grabbed her hand, 10:02, they pronounced her dead. And and I texted her. I went back and like I write music and I think I'm talented, but I'm not. And it was cool. I sat in the room and like took this little song on or whatever, and I made these little lyrics about her and what her mom would think of her right then, and uh, sent it to her. And then I expressed to her through text the lessons that I learned, and to be able to see that. And if I wasn't where I was at today, I would have missed out. Not that me being there had any sway or any indifference to help anybody else or whatever, but just for my own, not selfish needs, but they're good. Uh, that was a pivotal moment, I think, in my life that I think I'll forever. So we went through that last Sunday, went trick or treating, and just doing events and building community. That's what I'm doing. Met Whitney in treatment. She just happened to just start talking to me. I never have a girl ever start talking to me ever. Seriously, I'm usually like, "Hey, yo, you want to go get high real quick or whatnot?" That's it, right? I gotta have something. And the love and the support and the help and the introductions, all the doors open. I've had conversations last night of people. They're like, "Let's get in contact." I don't know if they what they see in me, but I'm also cautious to them. I'm like, "Okay, well, this is what I want to do, but I want you to be okay with it and feel secure. But this is when the time's right, you let me know." And to see some text messages and the support and all that uh, uh, is going to be lasting. I realize that now, and it's all through the grace of somebody else. Having thoughts at nighttime and doing my pillow talk. And so, yeah, man, that's my life. I got big hopes and big dreams, and uh, uh, we're gonna see what's gonna come. But I'm just gonna bulldoze it. I don't know. There's gonna be ups and downs. There's gonna be a lot of highs and lows, and uh, I just want to be an example that other people was. I'm just giving back what was given to me. You know what I mean?
For sure.
So,
And coming here and telling your story, man. I mean, we always say it, if you can reach
mm,
one person can see your story and say, "Hey, that's me.
yeah,
That person did it. I can do it. Dude, worth it.
yeah.
Totally worth it." Right. And that's the point of telling your story. Is coming in. I don't know if you know Ricky Zazueta. He does the Cage No More podcast. He went to prison for 7 years.
Mm.
Shout out to Ricky. He came to my school and talked to our kids. He did a podcast with me. He goes to the prisons, just like what you said you did in London. He goes to the prisons, I want to say monthly, if not more, and he talks to the inmates all the time.
Is this
So
the
I
guy
want
with
to,
dreads?
yeah.
Okay.
Do you know who
Yeah,
he
yeah,
is?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna hook you up with him because I
Okay.
think you could go with him to the prison and go into their story. I think a lot of people out there need to hear it.
Mm,
And I told Whitney the same thing before. I said we do this so that people can see other people are going through this, right?
mm,
So that if they're going through it, they can say, "Hey, there's that hope."
mm.
I mean, it's not just you failed at certain things.
Yeah,
We all fail at
yeah,
certain things. I failed at multiple things. Oh, my wife tells me all the time, "Hey, didn't do good in that,"
yeah. But you don't go use
But
meth.
I don't. I just get in a fight with her about
Yeah,
it, right? And then we just make up later, and we're all
yeah,
good.
yeah.
But we all go through that thing. And another thing I want to say about Ricky, he said something great when he came to our kids. He said, "You don't have to change; you have to grow."
Yeah,
Everyone grows at different times,
yeah,
right? The kids have to grow when they grow. I have to still grow in certain things. Everyone has to just
yeah.
grow. And so you're still growing,
Exactly.
right?
Yeah.
In your journey, and you're still looking up and saying, "Hey, what am I going to do?"
Mhm,
And so, no, like 100% props to you, man. Like
mhm.
it's a lot of work to
Yeah,
do what you're doing and to come out and be vulnerable and to tell everyone your story and to say, "Hey, this is me. This is what I did. These are the mistakes I made." That's a lot. So appreciate you coming out
no, I
and
appreciate it.
telling me these things. My last question for you, and before we end, though, is, and I always ask this to everyone: what is your why for changing? What is your big why? You told us about your realization point.
Mhm,
I usually ask people that too, like, "Hey, when did you realize?" But you told us about that.
mhm.
What is your big why for wanting to change?
Well, I mean, it may be small as I know better. inside I know better, and it doesn't feel right. And if I know better, then uh, when I do make a mistake,
Mhm.
it's it's my fault. I can't hold it on nobody. I knew exactly what I needed to do, and it helps me dig internally to be able to not let it be other outside sources or people be the cause, which I tried using as an excuse, and uh, that's why it's because I know better. And the why, and the other part too is I've been exposed. It's like you've been in the game, they call it you've been turned out, you've been exposed to meth or whatever it is. You know, I'm going to turn this dude out real quick. I've been turned out for good by being exposed to certain people, yourself, Whitney,
Mhm.
the Other Side Academy, all these things. And uh, someone told me, man, you just got to give back what was given to you. You know, now that you know, give it away. And that's the best medicine, man. And it comes back tenfold. When A helps B, A gets better in return. And so, yeah, man, I've been exposed and, uh,
I think the recovery community too is one of the best communities out there.
mhm,
I see the support. I see everyone becoming friends. Right, you have the Cedar Ridge, which is right by my school. They come over to my school every couple of weeks or every couple of days, and they use our facilities and just their friendships, how they stay in touch together. Right, a lot of people add me on Facebook, and then they'll say, "Oh, there's Steve," and then they all who are in there, they all start adding me, and I can see that
mhm,
they're all friends together.
yeah,
One of the best communities
yeah. How'd
that
that
you
make you
can have
feel?
out there, dude. I love it.
Yeah,
I love it that I keep in touch. Whitney added me not too long ago, and that's when she introduced me to you. She's like,
mhm,
"Hey, I know a guy,"
yeah,
and I'm really glad she did. And being able to keep in touch with people and see them and see their success—that's what I love too,
mhm,
especially because people fall. There's some people, won't say names. They're back at Cedar Ridge right now.
mhm.
It's their second, some of them third time there. But recovery is not a one-time deal
It's
for
not.
anybody.
It's a journey.
And so to see him back there, it makes me feel good because it's like, hey, you're back, you're trying, there's something there
Yeah,
that you need to do. So stay in the community,
mhm,
keep it going, keep telling your story. Don't ever stop
yeah,
because it's a good story. I appreciate you coming
yeah,
out. Anything else you want to say to
yeah.
the audience before we go?
Yeah, so it's getting winter time. We got the warming centers open up. I also cut hair down at the Coalition in Provo. If you know anybody that needs a haircut, have them come down there. I'll cut their hair up. It's on me. They cook breakfast, and the Genesis has a church there. But if you want to volunteer and you want to help make a difference out there in the community for those who are sheltered, meet us downtown at the Coalition or whatever every Sunday around 8 o'clock. Thanks.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you guys for tuning in. I want to give another shout out to Portia Louder with Living Louder podcast. Check her out too. She has a lot of stories of redemption. If you guys like to see these stories, keep it going. Thanks for watching.